Anyways, I also wanted to quickly touch on this story. I don't know, I'm tired now. About this lady who her husband did something to her or whatever. There's this story that has blown all over social media that this lady was committing adultery, that there was the husband was about to send them abroad, and somehow they got to find out that the through DNA testing, compulsory DNA testing, they got to find out that the children did not belong to the man, that it belonged to someone. I just wish that people would be very careful about spreading this story. I really, really wish I wish people would be careful about spreading it. I'm not saying that this is what happened, though. That's not what I'm saying. But I just really hope that people will be careful about spreading this narrative that this woman supposedly was cheating on her husband. She had a relationship with someone, some are even saying with the gate man. People have spun the story to so many different levels. Okay, so they are saying that she had a relationship with someone, and so when it came time for the children to get their DNA tested, the man was supposed to be taking them to Canada or something, and then when it came time to get their DNA tested, it became known that the DNA result showed that the man was not the father of the children, and so that was why he did what he did to her. When I first reported about this story, someone called in, a faithful fan of the show called in, and he was telling me that this is what he had heard, and he was asking me if I can verify the story, and I said I couldn't verify the story, but because but for the sake of keeping the same energy, I decided to say it out. For the sake of keeping the same energy, I decided to just share that information. And I'm sure a lot of people must have heard it at that point. But it looks like everyone is now jumping on that narrative that this lady had an adulterous relationship with someone else, that this lady committed adultery, and somehow the fact that she committed adultery and she had these children that doesn't belong to her husband. So the husband found out through DNA testing, and so the husband beat her blue black. Like I said, we have to be very careful because we don't know. There's another narrative to this story, and sometimes the truth can actually be stranger than fiction. According to the story, I was watching one Lola show a few days ago, and she said someone called in, and the person actually said that this man is just an abusive man. This is not the first time that they've had this kind of fight or whatever, that it wasn't anything about DNA testing. The man didn't find out that the children that he thought were his belonged to another man. She said that's not what happened, that this was the situation where the woman called the man on his way back from somewhere and told him to buy pure water or something, and he refused to buy pure water. And then he came home, and then I think an argument happened or something. And then he went into her purse, and then he found that she had some money. And then he was now asking her, why didn't you buy the pure water since you had the money? And the lady retorted back to him. And so a fight ensued, and this is what happened. So she was saying that it was one of the neighbors that called in. I called her personally and told her that this is what happened. There was no DNA. The man in question doesn't even live in Canada, that he's based in Nigeria, that all of these stories, this narrative that people are trying to push, that she committed adultery, that she gave the man children that weren't his, that all of this were lies. These are lies and these are not true. And it just really, really sickens me. It scares me, the fact that people are running with this. It scares me, the length that this story had gone every single time. Even when you go on Google, like when I was trying to get out more information, even when you go on Google, it is the same narrative that, oh, this man, he wanted to take his children to Canada, and then he conducted a DNA test, and then he found out that he wasn't the father of the children, and that's scary, because what if this is not really what happened? What if this is not really the case? But we've already been passing this story. Her face is all over social media. Her husband's face is all over social media, which I'm very fine with. I have no problem with that man's face being on social media, because let me say this. Even if that is the case, even if this is what really happened, she went and have children by another man and the man found out and blah blah blah, that still does not warrant this, that doesn't warrant this. But I have a feeling that because the video and the pictures that people saw was so painful, people had to look for a justification to justify what this man did. People had to look for justification because it made no sense for a man to do this to his own wife. So people just decided, you know what, because this looks really bad, this makes all men look really bad, all Nigerian men look really bad. So let's just spin a narrative that this woman was having an affair, that this woman had children for another man and passed it off as this man's children. And thanks to DNA, this man got to find out that the children were not his. I just feel like this is why someone decided to cook up the story and pass it off as, this is what actually happened. And if that is the case, it's really, really sad because this story is now all over. And this has gone beyond Nigeria social media. This is all over Africa. Everyone is saying that, look at this story. This man found out that 3 of his children, are not his. And because this is something that has happened before in the past, I believe a few years ago, there was this Ghanaian footballer who came out, who found out that the children he thought were his were not his, and that story blew up too. It really made people give women the side eye, that how are you giving this man children that are not exactly his? So people really made, looked at women differently. So I think that because that when that situation happened and the man just kind of took it all in stride and just moved on, people were disappointed at his reaction. So they felt like, let's just carry that kind of story and top it on this one, and let's just act as if this was how this man reacted, because somehow the fact that a man could do this to his wife, I think it was beyond a lot of people's comprehension. So they found a way. They wanted to look for a story that justifies, that people will look at it. They'll look at the woman and see what he did to her. And then they'll read the story and say, well, she probably deserved it. We really have to be very, very careful. And Festa Siyare says the story may end up being false. I agree. I kind of feel like the story is false. I feel like the story is not true. Like I said, sometimes you see this truth can be stranger than fiction. It could just as easily be in a situation where the man is a repeated abusive husband. He's always beating her. And this was just another situation where he couldn't control his temper because he was already mad. Maybe the lady was mounting off at him. Maybe the lady was running her mouth once he came in and, he did what he did. Or maybe he went into her purse and saw that she actually had some money and he got even more pissed off and said, why didn't you just go and get the water yourself? Why did you feel the need to make me get the water? And then because I didn't get the water, you decided to pounce on me and start abusing me. It could just be as easy as that story, It could just be as easy as that story. Because this one now, no one has come out, no one has come forth to say that, oh, this is not what happened. These are all just hearsay. The original reporter of this story is nowhere to be found. The person who published this narrative, who basically said that, oh, she is a so-and-so, she had children for other men, blah, blah, blah. The man found out that the children were not his, blah, blah, blah. Nobody has come out. Like, there is really no concrete proof as to where that story came from. There is no concrete proof as to where that story actually came from. All we hear, all we know is a narrative that has been spun so many things. This narrative has just taken a life of its own. The story has we've lost control of the story, essentially. We've lost control of the story. The story has now grown legs and the story is now running to different parts of the world. And what if tomorrow it turns out that this story wasn't true, that this woman did not have 3 children, that this woman did not cheat on her husband or lie to her husband, that she had this, what if that is the case? What if she didn't lie? What if those children are the man's children? And what actually happened was just a case of abuse, that has happened so many times, a situation where a man cannot control himself. I say all of this to say we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful the kind of stories that we post. I know sometimes it sounds a lot more romantic to say that, oh, the man found out that the children are not his. It sounds a lot more sweet, to be honest. It makes his actions, it makes what he did justified in a way. Not to me, anyways, because I don't give a shit if that is the case. I don't care if that was what she did. He had no right to do that to her. But a lot of people will find it acceptable, if that happens to be the case, if that was what happened, if this man who has been raising these two children as his own found that, thanks to his plan, his wonderful, noble plan to take his children with him to Canada, found that the children that he's been raising as his own were not his, that his wife has been sleeping with someone, who she bore those children for, so people might just want to make sense out of that. People can actually understand the rage that man would feel finding out that those children are not his, finding out that those children are not his. So a lot of people can actually justify a behavior like that. A lot of people might actually justify such a behavior and say, you know what? I mean, I would be pissed off too if I found out that the three children that I've been raising as my own are not really mine. So I kind of understand why a man would do that to his wife. So a lot of people will actually justify that. So I feel like people just carry this story and placed it on this because it is the only thing that justifies the animalistic behavior that the man displayed. It is the only story that justifies, to some people, not to me, it is the only story that would justify a man doing that to his wives. Just telling someone that, oh, it's about pure water, the matter that resolved in her losing 4 of her teeth is about, that a matter that resolved in her losing 4 of her teeth has nothing to do with anything other than just pure water. So some people really look at this man as a monster, if that was the narrative. But saying that, oh, the man found out that the children that he thought were his are not his, that kind of justifies. It's a sick society, but yeah, in a way, in some people's minds, it justifies the way that he behaved, the way that he treated his wife, So in the meantime, I'm gonna leave you guys alone. Thank you all so much for sticking around with me. And I was trying to do this live video yesterday. For some reason, it wasn't working. I got frustrated, but I'm glad that I was able to get some things off my chest, and I'm glad I was able to do this. Festa Siyari says, "What happened to walking away like the Ghanaian soccer player did?" Exactly. And a lot of people, I'm thinking in my mind that a lot of people may have felt like his reaction wasn't satisfactory. How dare you walk away after you found out that I think it was 4 children, were not yours, and you just walk away like that. That didn't sit well with a lot of people, so people have been hungry, they wanted a different finale, they wanted a different outcome, a different reaction to the man's behavior. So when something like this happened, when a situation happens like this, when this man just did something like this to the woman, and people are wondering, what could she have done? And someone just decided and said, you know what, let's just say that the man found out that the children that he's been raising as his are not really his, and that he found that through DNA, So let's just say that's what happened to justify this animalistic behavior. I think that's what happened here, because all of this, everything that we know about this story is just based off one write-up that someone wrote. There is no proof. There is no one has come forward, to support that claim. No one has done that. All we know about this story is someone said this thing. Someone said this is what happened, and this originated from somewhere. Nobody even knows where that narrative originated from. No one knows where that narrative originated from, but we are just running with it. And it's really scary. Because at the end of the day, this can happen to someone else, can happen to someone close to you, can even happen to you, where people are trying to make sense out of a tragic situation, and then they just cook up something that did not exactly happen and just make it seem like this is what really happened, just so that people can make sense, just so that it's more palatable to the reader, to anybody that is watching this vile act and thinking, how could a man do this to his own wife? So let's just say that he found out that the children are not his, and then maybe people can begin to maybe understand his rage, because that will make more sense than actually saying that he beat her blue black because of pure water, because she wanted him to buy water. He didn't buy water. He got home. She was probably running her mouth, and he went into her purse and he found he went into her purse, he found some money, and your situation just escalated from there, But anyways, they are saying that the girl's family are going to arrest the guy or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.